just like the sun, the youth are rising. These are the seeds that we have planted, taking root and giving life again. In the land of the free, home of the brave, many a slave for minimum wage. Lost in the days of so much false pretense. Some minds have been so erased, the truth is an offense. Many you find guilty are truly innocent. So stop blaming you for the ignorance. Show them the goodness of your heart and it will ricochet. We are the youth of yesterday, it's time we make a way. We are the youth of yesterday, and now we're born again. Just like the sun, the youth are rising. These are the seeds that we have planted, taking roots and giving life again. Can't you see that we are born again, giving life again, just like the sun, the youth are rising. These are the seeds that we have planted, taking life again, roots and giving life again. We're giving life again, giving life again, giving life
That right there was the title track from Crank Lukanga and my main man Matt Swamp. Hold up. Calling you Matt. Let me stay with your stage name.
No, it's all good.
It's all good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we try to keep it, professional.
No, I have many names, man. There's many names that I go by, so it's all good. Look, if I had to put every single name that I went by, we wouldn't have any more space over there for you.
Well, he go by his professional name Swamp Guinea, but for the purposes of this interview, we gonna call it, call him Matt. He gonna call me Nico. We gonna keep it cool,
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah. So, but now that brother right there, I'm excited about doing this interview today. First and foremost, thank y'all for tuning in to the GoWIN Radio Show right here on GoGo Radio Live, Win DC Radio. And if you're tuned into the Win DC Radio Facebook Live page, which I just turned on, or you just watching this on the app, on the Win DC Radio app, you can tune into us right there. I got this brother right here. I was introduced to him by a lot of those of you, recently in the last couple of years. You may know this brother who's been out here taking a lot of good pictures and interviews. This brother, he's adamant about his love for this culture, and he's a real true soldier. And I'm talking about my main man Diallo. he's you know, you might see him on Facebook. You know, he does a lot of posts of he usually does events that are outdoors. You know, he stays with the root of the music. You know, and that's what I really appreciate about him. You know, because when we came up, my first go-go was outdoors.
Right, same mine too.
You know what I mean?
Extinction Showmobile.
Okay, see, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, Uptown.
Nah, over near Brookland area, over in
Okay,
Northeast.
no, Northeast. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, but well, let's talk about your coming ups. You know what I'm saying? Because for those of you just listen to that track right there, he is a DC native, and I'm gonna let him get into his own personal history, but he's coming from a different point of view with the music, and it really shouldn't be different. You know what I mean? Because a lot of musicians will sit here and tell you, hey, it's all music.
Right.
You know, so,
Exactly.
but we have in DC have developed our own style and culture along with the music itself. And so you're taking it and spreading it around the world with your own twist to it, which you call Afro
go-go roots.
Go-go roots. Yeah. So I want to get to all of that, but let's talk about a little bit about your background.
Okay.
You're DC resident, came up. What neighborhood?
Well, first of all, man, let me just thank you for giving me the opportunity, giving us the opportunity to come on here and and share our music and share our story with the people. We really appreciate that. We also appreciate all of the work that you're doing, Nico, and helping to preserve the culture and keeping it alive. I know you've been out there for a long time, and we certainly appreciate what you're doing, man. And so we just, on behalf of Crank Lukongo, we just want to wish you continued blessings and on what you're doing. So thank you.
Nah, I appreciate it. It's brothers like you and the work that you all are doing that inspires me to keep doing what I do.
Right. Well, my story is, born and raised in D.C. I come from a family that migrated up from South Carolina, just like many native D.C. people that have family that migrated up. Grew up in Southside, Ward 7, Trinidad, Sursum Quarter. I lived in those were the three main parts. So Southside first, Sursum Quarter, Tyler House area, and then we moved over to Trinidad, Northeast, which is where I got the bulk of my upbringing.
Okay.
Grew up in the church, singing on the choir, my grandmother's church. Got a lot of my.
You want to shout out the church?
I got to shout out to St. Mark Baptist Church, 624 Underwood Street, where the redeemed of the Lord saith so.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's, a lot of my musical upbringing was rooted there. And I have a great uncle, my Uncle Charles, who lived on. We have a family farm down in South Carolina, and this dude used to sit us around the piano and teach us, songs, and we used to do ham bone and ham bone, which is another one of my nicknames too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Ham bone. But
you must have been really popping.
Oh yeah, I could pop it. Yeah. So I just had a pretty strong musical background. I sung on the glee clubs and elementary school, but the church really gave us that foundation, and then of course my mother and father were both really strong followers of soul music, the soul music that was really coming out of the 60s and the 70s. Look, I'm telling my age right now.
Hey.
But
hey, look, you ain't got to do that with me. I ain't no youngin' over here myself.
But I really appreciated it because a lot of the music that was, pretty much all of the music that was coming out in those times had a lot of substance to it. Even the music that they were playing on the radio at that time, the music that you would even consider to be underground, radio was playing it at that time. And so we had an opportunity to get exposed to that music, and all of that stuff just got into my bloodstream. You know, fast forward, elementary school. And
Did your father play in the band?
My father didn't play in a band. My father, nor my mother played in bands. You know, it was my great uncles on grandmom and grandpop's side that were, you know, they were hardcore church choir people.
Okay.
But my mother and father didn't play in bands. They were fans and huge followers and huge supporters of music in general. And that's how me and my brother, we got exposed to a lot of that coming up.
Okay.
And you know, for one Christmas, I think I was probably 10 years old, I got an electric guitar for Christmas, and my brother got a drum kit because they knew we wanted to play music, and so they bought us instruments. And so we, you know, made a lot of noise in the basement, me and my brother. And eventually we, you know, convinced the other kids, our friends in the neighborhood, this was in Trinidad, we convinced them to, you know, pick up buckets, do whatever, you know, and let's start a band. At that time, go-go was really starting to surface. You know, it was the beat of the street, and it was really starting to surface. And we had absorbed a lot of what we were hearing on the radio with go-go, and then, you know, as it really progressed, PA tapes started circulating and things like that, and we wanted to do that. So we started putting heads together and forming bands. At that time, everybody and their grandmother had a go-go band. You know, I mean, it was so common to have a band that people never even heard of, because in one neighborhood you may have 5, 6, 7 different bands. You know, we were blessed to live in a neighborhood where adjacent to our neighborhood in Trinidad was a neighborhood called Ivy City. Well, Ivy City is still there. I'm acting like it's gone, but
right.
So in Ivy City, there was a brother that had a house in Ivy City, and he built a huge stage in his backyard. And the guy, he was a rock and roller. He played rock and roll. He was a little older than everybody else, but he played a lot of rock and roll. He was one of the few cats in the area that hung around white people. We didn't even know what white people looked like living where we lived at. So
right.
he, you know, he played in rock bands.
Fast forward to today.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but no, this guy, his name is Weasel, and he gave the opportunity for all of the kids in the neighborhood that had go-go bands to come, or just bands in general, to just come and do performances in his backyard. So we would have Battle of the Bands. We had our own back-to-school boogies, you know, during those times. And this is like very early 80s. And we'd have about 3 or 4, maybe 5 bands, including his rock band. So we'd have the 3 or 4 go-go bands from the neighborhood, and then his rock band would either play last or either play, they would either play before the headlining band. And that gave everybody in the neighborhood a place to come, you know, where there was no violence, no fights. You came and for free, and you can see bands all day long perform on this big stage with the big sound system and everything. And that was
where was this at?
Ivy City.
I mean, where at?
I can't even remember the street. Man,
I mean, did the building have a name?
Say that again.
I mean, did it have a name on the building?
It was a house. It was just his house.
It was his house.
His house, and he had a nice sized backyard.
Wow.
And he built
with a stage.
He built a big stage on behind the house. He built a big stage. It was attached to the house. And it, you know, people played there, and he would bring his rock bands out there, and they would play, and you know, and we would sit out there and watch the rock bands, and so that was really that was a big thing.
Yeah,
man. That was a big thing. That was a big thing. So at the time I played, that was a band. We had a couple of names: Eternal Funk, Perfection, or something like that. Then there was another band called Progressive, Pleasant Groove. I mean, it was all kinds of. Yeah, they later became a band called Touch, with my boy Brian Clark, who is also a part of Crank Blue Congo. He was in that band. So yeah, man, it was just good times, man, having those opportunities to really showcase.
So you're basically self-taught.
Yeah, so initially I started out playing guitar, and I later realized that guitar, I didn't have the discipline for it. My rhythm was really good, but I didn't have the discipline to learn chords and all that kind of stuff. And at the time, I was really listening to a lot of James Brown and a lot of Andre Whiteboy, you know, Johnson from Rare Essence, because he had that rhythm that just spoke to me. You know, and I figured I could just take one finger and ding it, ding it, ding it, ding it, ding it, you know, but you know, once I got into high school and I started playing with cats, I went to Duke Ellington School of the Performing Arts.
Oh, okay.
And I started playing with cats that really knew music.
Right.
And I had an audition. I was probably in the 10th grade. I had an audition to audition for this band called the Young Boys. The Young Boys was a offshoot of what was the band that my man Pump Blenders.
Okay.
So the Young Boys was an offshoot of Pump. Was the Baby Pump Blenders band. We practiced at the Pump Blenders studio out in Uptown.
Shout out to the Busey boys.
Shout out to Busey. Yeah, shout out to my man Tiggy. Used to play drums and Wheels on percussion.
Right.
You know, James Siegler on bass, all those cats. So, so I went out and tried out, and my man, the manager, who I believe was the father.
Right.
Yeah, he pulled me to the side. He said, "Yeah, man, you all right, but you got to go back and learn your chords, and when you learn your chords, come back and you know, we'll still see what we can do." So that was was like, and so the next day I went to school and everybody was like, "Man, Matt, I thought you said you knew how to play that guitar."
They called you out.
Yeah, they called me out. So I put it down from that point on, and so but it was funny because back in my neighborhood, I was playing guitar, but mostly doing a lot of rhythm, a lot of scratching, where you can mute your strings and just scratch.
Right.
So you didn't have to play a lot of chords. If you playing rhythm, if you playing a socket all day, you just mute the chords and just scratch. So I did that. But I realized that my percussionist in the band, who was really good percussionist, he stumbled on this one beat, by my man Jungle Boogie that used to that beat that Boogie used to play on "If You Want Some Fun," so yeah. So my man was stumbling on that rhythm, and I would have to turn around and show him how to play the rhythm.
Back up against the wall. I'm sorry.
Right. So I'm trying to, I'm figuring out, like, why is it that I can get this, but I can't get the guitar thing?
Right.
So that's when I realized, okay, I had a natural ability for playing congas and percussion because it just came very natural. So it was from that point on that I think I started to involve myself in other units and other bands and working with other cats from my school. But I shifted to percussion on congas and got really good at it. So this was in probably mid to late 80s where I got really good at playing the congos, that style. I mean really good. I'm nowhere near that now. But
really?
Yeah, I mean I'm more and maybe we can get into that story later, but I'm more I'm probably a lot stronger at Afro-Cuban style of percussion because I play everything.
Okay.
Afro-Cuban, different African rhythms, different African instruments.
Well, we definitely want to talk about that because I want to bring in the whole aspect as far as where you went with your travels and how that influenced your new project right here. So I tell you what, so. We got nice little story on your background. So let's talk about your music that you and how you got into what you're doing right now.
Okay.
But let's play something else off the album Born Again.
Okay.
Let's go with I Want to Hit Mayor for Life.
Okay.
Let's do Mayor for Life. And I know you got a story behind that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that when we come back, all right? So we want y'all to tune in, that are tuning in. Check out this track right here, Mayor for Life. We all know who that is. It's a nice little story on him. And let us know what you think. I'm open up the phone lines when we get back, 240-389-3397. You're tuned into the GoWIN Radio Show.
Swamp Guinea hit me up on the cell, talking about he wanna redo one of my tales. I said, swell, do tell. He said, Mail for Life, that joint size, but you know we got to do that right. So on my birthday night, I found myself in the lab with my lady before midnight. Sushi we had at the Hamilton, going to see Oh So Fresh. We stopped over Warren's crib and we did it to death. Swamp and Head Rock, pocket locking, no recess. 30 tracks of show stopping options would manifest. From that selected the blessed, to be fleshed with the rest by the best. So when we drop, it'll pass the test. People flock when it's go fresh. We never settle for less. When Chocolate City rocks, kill that stress. We ain't taking no mess like Marion told us. In fact, we tell them shut the fuck up. In front they boss us when they cross us, sitting high on their horses with their torches like they wanna go to war against my fortress. Come on. Yeah. You sounding good, Swamp Guinea. What's up, Chocolate City? We about to talk about the Making for Life, y'all. Yeah. So grab what you like and come to the front. If you don't know off the top who this song is about, before the end of this jam, there will be no doubt. Now he was born in the hatred of Mississippi, the birthplace of the phrase Black Power simply coined by Stokely Carmichael in response on a snicker march. The civil rights of life was harsh. The little Africans and sisters, mama knew it. She moved the family to Memphis, pursuing improvement, wanting more for her kids than the rotten life of picking cotton, which he did like a slave, somehow was forgotten. College graduate, civil rights advocate, impossible obstacles he had to battle with. Now they wouldn't let him to the white kids in Kansas going for his PhD and needed when he in Tennessee. Through the misery, the brother was steadfast, doing what he could to make sure we weren't dead last. Regarded as outcasts, he organized us of the lower class to fight for power and stick it to their ass. Mayor for life, to the death, with every breath till there ain't none left. And walk a mile in the gospel. Mayor for life, to the death. Mayor for life, to the death, with every breath till there ain't none left. Like the hate, persecution, and gossip. Mayor for life, to the death. Hey, he came to Chocolate City with a passion. On his own, we didn't have to beg or ask him. He was a non-violent general working for social justice. Marion didn't but kiss, facing down muskets. He helped open up SNCC in Chocolate City, using boycott Mike Wright against price hikes for a bus trip. And him we trusted with this black love encrusted judgment. Pan-African royalty, he proved his loyalty, acting locally to influence thinking globally. Fighting for civil rights, he was ahead of the tide, helping unemployed blacks by establishing pride. Hey, he even took a bullet while serving the public. It was black men who done it, but he didn't jump ship. He black loved it, overstood the circumstance. So when he asked could he be our mayor, we gave him the chance. Mayor for life, to the death, with every breath till there ain't none left. Mayor for life, to the death. Mayor for life, to the death, with every breath till there ain't none left. Despite the hate, persecution, and gossip. Mayor for life, to the death. Now who ain't never suffered from a crack in their armor? Been victims of attacks to diminish their honor. Self-righteous opinions ignore the laws of karma. We all flawed in this life, word the Dalai Lama. The feds said his offense was a crime, so they gave him prime time, trying to cage his mind. Could've gave him a fine, but since they don't play kind, they declined, sent him to jail where he went without pride. Had it been you or I, we'd have lost it. He didn't forfeit, he bossed it. Came home, was exalted by the same people who supported. Way back when dogs attacked him, just because of their black skin. This African American is a legend, an icon, a hero who rose from zero. My knowledge of COINTELPRO lets me know, we almost stuck to this badass Negro. Hey, Mayor for life, to the death, with every breath till there ain't none left. Walk one inch in the gospel.
down upon us, and we're still from the blind. And though he could rap his way out of a paper bag, he couldn't dodge the hammer, slammer. You remember being there, we spoke to the people of DC, a voice in our community. Talk to me, it's talking to me. So let's hear it for Peter. We spoke for the people of DC, a messenger for the capital city. Talk to me, it's talking to me. Lord and Penn is where he went in with styles to bide his time. So he became a rap or cell block fight. He used the shop to share his past so everyone could laugh. And he made their days go oh so fast. Stepped out a free man, and now in God's hands, Mr. Green was back on the scene. The scene, back to his birthland, where he knew every man. Son didn't miss a beat in them streets. Do you remember Peter? He spoke to the people of DC, a voice in our community. Talk to me, he's talking to me. So let's hear it for Peter. We spoke for the people of DC, a messenger for the capital city. Talk to me, he's talking to me. Always fresh, the man stayed club hopping. A peacemaking force who kept the mobs from mobbing. Talk of the town where the lunatics roam, on black tops with backdrops of DC, my home. The watermelon man, who told it like it was. He was no stepping fashion. Now his soul is resurrected. You remember Peter? He spoke to the people of DC, a voice in our community. Talk to me, he's talking to me. So let's hear it for Peter. He spoke for the people of DC, a messenger for the capital city. Talk to me, he's talking to me. Do you remember Peter? He spoke to the people of DC, a voice in our community. Talk to me, he's talking to me. So let's hear it for Peter. He spoke for the people of DC, a messenger for the capital city. Talk to me, he's talking to me. 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 Talk to me, he's talking to me.
That right there was my main man. Good gracious, girl, why are you gonna call me now? I tell you, Miss Lady, you must be. Oh, you at the door. Okay, we got to open up for that. No, I got it right here. That right there was what do we call that? The first joint we played right there was Mayor for Life. And we're going to talk about these two tracks because they were very, very, I guess, heartfelt to a lot of the citizens or people that are from D.C. because those are two iconic figures from the area. So, but I want to talk about, where you came up for the whole concept for this album and for your group.
Okay. I was on tour with this reggae group from the Virgin Islands that I'm the drummer for this group called Bamboo Station.
Okay.
So, from 2008 onward, I've been touring with this group, and we've been pretty much traveling all over the country and just different parts of the world, South America, Europe, the Pacific Islands. And I noticed that every time, in the travels, people would always hear me talk. And it seems like the further I go away from home, the thicker my DC vernacular gets. So you don't really hear it right now, but I'm trying to tell you, man, when everywhere I go, man, that joint be like that, And I don't know, maybe it's because I feel a need to really assert our culture a little more, but it just gets thicker. Also because my brothers from the Virgin Islands, they do their thing, they mind. They mind all them people that I talk to, they got them island talk that they do.
Right.
And so when people hear me talk, they know I don't sound like these guys. So they want to know, well, where's this guy from? So people ask me, where you from? And when I tell them DC, they get shocked because they don't associate this skin tone to be from Washington D.C., the nation's capital.
Really?
Nah, they don't put that together. And not just.
So they didn't know that D.C.
No.
prior to the last 5 to 6, 7 years was 70% black at one time.
They have no idea. See, and you got to understand too, it's not just people abroad, but even some of the places that we've traveled in the States, okay, West Coast, wherever, people that have never, had the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C., or if they have traveled to Washington, D.C., they've only kind of gone to where the tourists go.
Right.
So they don't have a clue that behind this curtain lies a whole other culture that's like really, it makes up truly who we are. And so those are some of the things that I find myself sharing with these people when they're a bit surprised about, black people being in DC, being from DC. And, so I'm talking to these people about, well, yeah, this is how we talk. This is how we walk. We like mumbo sauce on our chicken. We got our own form of music that's indigenous to us, Chocolate City culture. And then they usually want to hear examples of this music. And generally, because I'm traveling with a reggae band, which is reggae music is, roots reggae music is very revolutionary, social, political, and spiritual base, right?
I'm glad you differentiated reggae music and roots reggae music.
Right, exactly, because there's a big difference. So these people are generally followers of, music with that type of substance in it.
Right.
So, but they want to hear, what is this go-go thing you talking about? Because I'm like big time, huge fan of go-go right here, man. I'm just, nothing compares to go-go. You can make comparisons. There's similarities between, our music and other forms of music throughout the diaspora. But go-go is a thing unto its own. When they want to hear examples of it, I'm looking because I know exactly what they want to hear. And so I'm going on YouTube and I'm like, okay, because I don't want to offend anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm trying to find the right selections, to
Is that difficult? Does go-go have a variety of music to where you feel like we could, unlike, okay, for instance, country music, you got different types of country music.
Right.
You know,
reggae.
rock and roll. Yeah, reggae, yeah.
Different, yeah.
So does go-go have that variance that, now we know within the culture, we know there's a variance.
Right.
But do you have, would you be able to show others, like name some of the countries you've been to?
I've been to Holland, Belgium.
And this is all performing, correct?
Portugal, Germany, Peru, Brazil, Hawaii.
Yeah, that's a country within its own, for real.
Yeah,
even though it's a state.
No,
of
Hawaii.
America.
Yeah, they have their own thing out there.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm probably leaving Mexico. Yeah. That's to name a few.
Okay.
If I'm leaving anything out, I'm blacked out. But those, I've been to these places quite a few times.
You said Peru?
Peru, yeah.
Okay, so you've been. Where else in South America?
Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil twice.
So listening to your music, I hear a heavy influence of various.
Exactly.
Yes, in this incorporated into go-go. Thus the name Afro Go-Go Roots.
Right. Right.
So, and with the roots, you wanted people to know that there was a message within the music as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and even to answer your question, when you asked me if that was hard to find, I don't think so. I mean, and a lot of that could probably come with my lack of knowledge with what is and was current at the time. But, I went on YouTube and I was pulling out songs like The Word by Junkyard, Be Bumpin' Fresh by Chuck Brown.
So nothing,
the Go-Go Posse.
Nothing up to date.
Well, like I said, and that probably has a lot to do with my lack of knowledge, because I wanna say that yes, there are some contemporary stuff out there that the artists are doing that's message driven. So I want to say that yes, but there was nothing within my scope or my recollection that I could find. So I was pulling songs, Cat in the Hat, those types of songs with those messages.
So what was the response once you?
The response was crazy. I mean, because they didn't know such a thing existed, even though Trouble Funk and Chuck Brown, both of those bands have had international success. But I guess in these particular parts,
as well as EU,
exactly. And so, but it just wasn't. It wasn't.
Lil Benny as well.
Yeah. And so
he was big in Europe.
So what happened was, after all of that, man, the light bulb went off, and I said, okay. Well, actually, I didn't say it. Spirit spoke to me and said, okay, yeah, when you get back home, you should start working on something that would lend itself to doing exactly what you're doing right now, which is sharing the culture through music to the rest of the world. I look at myself growing up. I wasn't really a big book reading type of person growing up. I am now,
right?
But I was always listening to music, and once I started getting into world music, music throughout the diaspora, so I was listening to a lot of Bob Marley. I was listening to a lot of Fela Kuti. And these artists, what they did was they taught me a little something about the quote-unquote third world. So Bob Marley is singing, and educating us about what's going on in Jamaica. Next thing you know, I'm going to the library and I'm picking out books by Walter Rodney and all these people, and I'm learning about Paul Bogle and Marcus Garvey. And then Fela Kuti is putting out music about, the political situations that's going on in Nigeria. And next thing you know, I'm going to the library and I'm picking out books on, what's going on with the political situation there. And it furthered my studies and furthered my knowledge on these places. And so what I wanted to do was to have a similar type of impact, or start a movement where we have that similar type of impact with the rest of the world, because, what we have here is very special, very, very, very special. And, the world should know about it. and they're getting there because you got bands like Team Familiar, which was the first go-go band to go to Africa, and then Backyard followed them. They went to Ghana for 3 weeks, and they did a tour over there. So it's reaching. It's definitely reaching.
Well, let's talk about the 2 tracks that we just played earlier.
Okay.
Let's start with the initial track, Mayor for Life.
Okay.
It's a story. Well, it's a story in all your music.
Right.
And you pick different routes to go about it. But let's talk about what was behind the thought when you was writing Mayor for Life.
Well, I didn't write Mayor for Life.
Oh, okay.
I composed the music for Mayor for Life, but Mayor for Life was written by my good brother Head Rock. Shout out to Head Rock. I needed a rapper. I needed an MC for this album, and I didn't have one. And Head Rock was a very easy choice because he's my brother. I like the type of controversy that he stirs up sometimes because he calls people out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's not afraid of the confrontation. Right or wrong, he's gonna get this conversation started. Strong activist. He's a father, just a really good brother. And so Head Rock put out Mayor for Life about 4 years ago, just before Barry had transitioned. He put it out in honor of Marion Barry. And I mean, you from DC, Chocolate City, I mean, how could you not love Mayor for Life? I mean, I know he does have some opposition out there, but me personally, he's my Mayor for Life.
Right.
And when I heard the track, it was done in a more of it was a hip hop form. Head Rock had a different producer that had did the track. And I heard the track and I was like, yes. Not only is this brother, MC, my brother, but this is a song that really falls in line with what Crank Blue Congo is all about. So I called Hetty up. I was like, yo, man, I want to do a go-go version of that track. So he said, okay, let's do it. And we went into the studio and we cut it. We did the scratch vocals and drums and bass at first. And then I took it and I stacked it with keyboards. I got Desi Hyson from Mojanaya and the original Wailers to play keyboards on there. I got Lazy K Keith Lofton on guitar. And I sent the track back to Head Rock in full so he can now put the vocal on it. And he called me back. He said, hey, Swamp, man, I'm gonna have to sit on this track, man. This is a nice track. I didn't know it was gonna sound like this. So he eventually, we got him to do the vocal, and he just gave an incredible performance on there. I mean, and that's just honoring our man, Marion Barry, telling the story of his life, telling the story of his trials and tribulations, and us giving our love to him, and giving our love for him. And so that's the Marion Barry anthem right there, so to speak. And we made some attempts to have that track played for his statue memorial dedication. They didn't quite get to us, but that's okay. We did the right thing by putting that out and honoring him, and so we feel good about that. The next track you played.
Yes, I was just about to say. Let's talk about the legend.
The legend of Petey.
Yeah.
The legend of Petey. Growing up in DC, Petey Green was our shock jock. He was one of the original shock jocks. Yeah. Petey Green had a unique story, but growing up, I would hear Petey Green on WOL AM radio all the time.
That's right.
I mean, and he would be sometimes cursing people out. Petey Green had, as we say in DC, that man ain't had no cut card.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And but his story is amazing. How he kind of came up in the streets, and he served time at Lorton, and while he was at Lorton, he was allowed to be a disc jockey on the air at the prison. And so, you know, he kind of lightened everybody's load, man. Just him being on the radio at the prison, man. He made everybody kind of happy and just, you know, cool, man. And that's why I say he made their days go so fast, you know, because he was the entertainment. And of course, once he was released from prison, he came out and he was able to do great things with his power. And so we honor him in that song. In fact, when DC was burning down in 1968 after they assassinated Dr. King and the riots was going on, the whole city was burning down, one of the few people, if not only people, that they called to go out in the streets and calm the people down was Ralph Waldo Petey Green. And he went out there and he told people, hey man, why don't y'all just go ahead and chill on out, man, you know, like keep it down a little, you know, and people listened to Petey, you know, so Petey had that kind of power. So just like with Mayor for Life, we also honor Petey in song, who's another legendary DC icon that should never be forgotten. And so we want to educate, you know, not just the younger generation here, but people abroad, who these people are and how important they are to DC culture, Chocolate City culture in a nutshell.
Well, let me ask you this. When you, Petey Green, the Legend of Petey is your song.
Yeah, I wrote
I didn't want to overstep like I did.
Yeah, no, I wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
I played most of the instruments on there. I sang, I do all of the vocals on there. My 16-year-old daughter helped out with some background vocals on that track as well.
Okay.
But yeah.
So your daughter sings as well.
She sings when I put money in her hand.
Oh boy, this new generation, I tell you.
Right now, you know, she's just concentrating on being a good student, and you know, she's doing some modeling, and she's actually a really good photographer. She's been doing some photo shoots for us and as well. So she's got her hands in all kinds. I have two daughters. Both of my daughters are drummers. They drum, but they refuse to pursue it. Because they look at me, they're like, okay, Dad, we see what your wallet looks like.
Right.
We're going to do something else. But they're really good drummers, though. Both of my daughters, yeah.
Back to Petey Green, though. Let me ask you something. Do you feel like when you made that track, and it was just, how long ago did you make that one? Because you told me prior to being on air that this was a long labor of love.
Oh man, this album took me about 5 years to make.
5 years.
I didn't even know I was gonna do a track on Petey Green. Diallo Rockman, my brother from way back. Diallo was like my PR guy. Diallo came over my house one day and he brought the Petey Green documentary that PBS put out. I was already familiar with Petey's story and was even considering doing something on him because I wanted that, you know, but Diallo brought the documentary over and I watched it and I was like, then it's got to get done, because that documentary allowed me, it just gave me a lot more to talk about, more so than even what I knew, you know, and so that really inspired me to really like get the ball moving and do a story on our brother, you know.
But what do you think about nowadays when we look at back, because Petey was the 70s.
Right.
You know, so when we talk about looking at 2018 right now, do you see any semblance of a representative of Petey Green's, just his nature? You know what I'm saying? Because nowadays, it just seems like we don't have the leadership. And even though you wouldn't want to really classify Petey as a leader.
He was a leader.
Yes, but he wouldn't want to classify himself as that.
That's true. That's
you know
true.
What I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah.
So, a lot of times you are by default because your influence.
Right, right.
And so, which I'm sure he never would. I don't know him personally. I never knew him personally.
Right.
But my uncle did. My uncle ran with Petey Green, and he told me a lot of things about him. And I would say this: he never took it upon himself to feel like he was a leader amongst men.
Right.
But my question to you is: it seems like we're lacking that in our communities nowadays. And talking to you off air, you seem like a man that really feels like you have community involvement in your work. So tell us, what do you think about at this time what our youth are looking at as far as leadership from the other generation, or older generation, I should say?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because it's a hard comparison too, because of the times and everything like that. Our youth today, they have a lot more influence, social media, this, that. We had cats like PD, and that was just more direct, WOL was really, that was it for us, I think the youth of today, I think there is some leadership there. I think that it's easy to access the leadership, but it's hard because there's so much diversity even with the access. So what I mean by, for example, we're listening to GoWIN radio right now. There's several other similar, maybe not similar, but there's a lot of setups similar to this, that people have access to, and so people tend to kind of tailor their own stream or their own audience. Like, for example, we listen to the radio because what else was there to listen to? When we got into a car, there's nothing else to listen to. You turn it on the radio with a few stations that you could. You didn't like the song, you go to another station or to another dial. You didn't like that, you go to another dial. This generation today, they get into the car, they already have their iPhones or their iPads or whatever, and they already have their playlists automatically set so they can hear what they want to hear. They're not necessarily as, from what I observe, they're not necessarily as anxious to be informed, and I'm not sure if we were as anxious to be informed, but we had no choice because that was the only option.
Well, if we wanted information, we had to go seek it. Now
Right.
the youth have it right at their fingertips, and they are so lazy, a lot of times they don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. I have 2 daughters, and I have to get on them all the time, but at the same time, I really try not to be that grandpa that's smacking the kids on the wrist, telling them, I try not to be that way, even though I am, because I have 2 daughters, and I'm an educator. I work with youth. I advocate for youth. I do a lot of community engagement, which is part of, what I do at work. So I see it. What I try to do is just put myself in a position to learn from them and to hear their voice. I also do work at New Beginnings Correctional Facility, formerly Oak Hill. And I have to go in there with the approach of, okay, I'm getting paid to come in here to teach you, but I need you to teach me, because these youth, their ears and eyes are a lot closer to the street than mine. So I need to be informed, and I need to empower them. See, we have to empower the youth because they're so used to getting slapped on the wrist and being told, and they hate to hear what used to be compared to, they don't like to hear that. That drives them nuts. So we have to continue to empower them, give them.
But we can't empower them without showing them the way first. So it's a fine line between that.
Right.
Because that's just like putting a drunk behind the wheel, because, what I'm saying? Because they're impaired.
Right.
So you just can't just give them the keys like that. So
no, that's true. I mean, they definitely need the proper guidance. I mean, one of the things that I do over at the correctional facility is I teach them the mechanics of a drum kit, how to put it together and that sort of thing, right? This is like 2010, 2011. I ain't know nothing about no bounce beat. Well, I knew about bounce beat, but I was Bill Cosby. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like this bounce beat. It's this new stuff, you know. And I get in here and I teach them. I give them guidance. I show them the mechanics of how to put this drum thing together and how to play it. And once I gave them that, they took it from there. And they got on the drum kit. Zone, zacko, do, got, do. And I watched how they all just sort of gathered and just kind of formed. And everybody was shouting their hoods out and this and that and this and that. And I watched how it empowered them. And I said, man, you know what? You're going to teach me that. And so that inspired them because nobody had ever given them that empowerment. Nobody had ever put them in a position where they could teach.
Right.
And so now they're in a position where they have to teach me, and that's leadership. And now that they see that they possess leadership, hopefully that would inspire them to go out and be positive leaders for their families, their communities, or whatever, hopefully. You know, so it's still a struggle. I know some grown folks my age out here that, you know what I'm saying, that needs help still in that department. So it's a constant work in progress, you know, and I think that, like you said, we have to continue to guide, you know, but I think we also have to be willing to listen, hear them out.
Oh, no doubt.
And,
no doubt.
You know, and just give them an ear. Just give them an ear.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I tell you what, we get ready. We're a little bit over, but we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. We're going to play another one of your tracks. But before we do, we want to welcome somebody. And when we come back, this person, so just kind of stumbled up in here, you know, but it's a key figure, and she has some pertinent questions for you as well. But I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, sliding through here today.
Oh, man,
we love it when people
mine.
that's doing work within the community take a time out of the day and come in here and tell us, you know, what they're doing, but also what we can do to help, because ain't nothing like giving back.
Yeah.
That's one of your main questions you always say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What can you do moving forward? We can all talk about the past.
I get tired of somebody always pointing the finger, talking about, oh, you this and that.
Yeah.
You know what? Those who are in the trenches,
Right.
that's who I want to listen to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The joker on the side is in the laundry room or the barbershop talk. That's all fine and dandy. But the brothers and sisters are in the trenches. Come on up here. This is the platform for you. That's right here.
That's right.
You're tuned into the GoWIN radio show right here on GoGo Radio Live, Windy C Radio. And this lady's in the house. Yeah.
Eyes here.
Keep it locked.
What's up, family? This is Reverend Tony Lee, the pastor of Community of Hope AME Church, lower level of the Iverson Mall. And I want to welcome you and tell you to come and join me, Community of Hope, each and every Sunday morning, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon. That's right, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, lower level of the Iverson Mall. And we say it every Sunday that we're the Community of Hope, where everybody has a chance. And we don't care who you are, what you've done, who you did it with. Don't care if you did it last night, woke up doing it this morning. But when you get to church, you're in the right place at the right time to become all that God has called you to become. Don't you worry about getting out your best suit. You come as you are, because God loves you just as you are. That's Community of Hope AME Church, lower level of the Iverson Mall. And did I tell you we got that crank? You need to get some further information or to watch us streaming online. www.hiphopenation.com. www.hiphopenation.com. This your man Reverend Tony Lee's in them. All right, I'll holler and I'll see you there.
What do you want from life? Success, happiness, money, fulfillment? Here's your chance to create all that and more with a new career in cosmetology and professional barbering. Hair Academy 2 is an education program designed to teach you all you need to know to succeed in the wide-open beauty industry career field. Hair Academy 2 is located in the shops at Iverson, 3705 Branch Avenue, Suite 1010, Lower Level, Hillcrest Heights, Maryland. Our school prides itself on honesty, integrity, and service to our students and customers. While you're learning the skills needed to succeed, you'll be serving the community by providing them with quality services, offering senior discounts weekly on our clinic floor, and our barbershop is running free hair specials when presented with flyer. For more information, contact Minta Campbell in the admissions office at 301-899-9100, Monday through Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Create your success story with an exciting career in cosmetology and professional barbering at Hair Academy 2. Classes are filling up fast, so call today, 301-899-9100.
Are you short on money? Is your computer acting up? Call my main man, Tony Ray. For $50, PC repairs include troubleshoot one computer using all the proper tools. Remove all viruses, spyware, malware, and rootkits on the computer. Repair any operating system issues, including boot issues, blue screens, etc. Apply system tweaks and modifications. Test operating system for proper functionality. Provide you with an estimate cost for hardware repairs or upgrades needed to provide a complete working PC. Call today. Tony Ray, 202-681-0326. Mobile services also available. He will come pick up your computer and drop it off. Most jobs are done within 24 to 48 hours. One more time. Call Tony Ray, 202-681-0326. Are you short on money? Is your computer acting up? Call my main man, Tony.
Craig, I go searching for the freshest crank on the planet. Every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I bring you 2 hours of the hottest new go-go music, go-go mashups, and bootleg go-go remixes I can find.
Everyone in Jamaica wants to hear more mashup of go-go tunes and other styles of music.
And so do I, but the problem is I'm running out of crank, so I'm looking for a new connect. And that's when it hit me. I do what we do in sound system culture when we need producers to send us music. I'm holding a sound clash.
Go-Go Craig is holding a crank clash, where two songs will battle head to head to see who cranks the highest.
So any go-go bands or producers who want to compete in the crank clash?
King April is calling all of the bedroom producer, sound system, and go-go bands to email gogocraig@gmail.com.
Remixes of classic go-go songs that mash up of go-go tunes with other styles of music.
A new crank clash every Saturday at 8 p.m. only on Go-Go Radio Live.
This is
Crank Therapy.
Go-Go Radio Live.
Oh yeah. Your boy DJ Chuck Classic, Go-Go Radio Live. Letting you know you can catch me in the mix every Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. It's Crank Therapy. Oh yeah. And I hit you like this.
Crank Therapy. Crank Therapy. Crank Therapy.
2 to 4 p.m. Crank Therapy, Saturdays.
This is Hot Toddy with the Foreplay Eargasm Show each and every Tuesday night from 8 to 10, bringing you the sexy slow jams with very adult interactive conversation only on WIN DC Radio.
I got a feeling I wanna grab it. It's something I can't see. I gotta feel alive, but they won't let me have it. They just won't let me be. I see the plans are ready for the revolution. People prepare for victory. It's over, no more confusion. All people will be free. Now I can feel safe in your hand. My Father will make our way for His children. We are the lucky ones forevermore. history. Yeah. Build a nation the way we used to be. When will we open our eyes to this revelation? One love, one identity. Yeah. Now I can feel safe in knowing my Father will make our way for His children. We are the lucky ones forevermore. We will be as one. Now I can feel safe in knowing my Father will make our way for His children. We are the lucky ones forevermore. We will be as one. Yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. All right, yeah. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? When the revolution comes, baby. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yeah, babe. When the revolution comes, when the revolution, what you gonna do? When they come for you, you better change your view, adjust your attitude. And when it's said and done, yeah, we're gonna live like one. Get together and have some fun underneath the sun. Yeah. What you gonna do, baby?
We are back live with the boots.
The boots.
Right here on the GoWIN radio show. I'm Nico the Go-Goologist, and she is laughing. And then we have special guest, my main man Swamp Guinea in the house. Miss Lady,
Yes.
what's so funny?
I'm not bad with names, but like when I see something and I don't know
Something
the
that
person's
sticks in
name,
your craw,
and
huh?
it just stays in my brain, and that's how I use certain things to
so
describe
the boots
people.
is what's
The boots.
Yeah, that's it. I guess the person that was wearing them wanted that same. He wanted that impression. I'm sure. He wanted to make sure that when you saw them joints, you remembered them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
They just let you know where their mind
it's
was
marketing. Marketing 101.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you just like to be seen.
I don't know. No. Yeah.
I mean, that's what he wanted.
I don't think so.
You don't think he just wanted to be seen?
No, I don't think so.
You know, sometimes those type of people, they just want to be seen.
His stylist wasn't available.
Oh, that's what it was?
That's what it was.
Oh, so he just jumped in them joints.
And it was fresh, too.
Hey, look, my man got to get up out of here. Swamp Guinea, after listening to all the music, and I listened to the whole thing twice, actually, before you came in.
You did?
Yes, I sure did.
Did you listen to Ghost of Anacostia?
Yes, I did. To be honest with you,
that's my favorite note.
That's yours?
I mean, that's the only one with the addition. I like this Roy Ayers. Like that's what I was saying. Like when we were talking off the air, it sounds like you know, like you know, the Roy Ayers
Because
feel. And stuff
my
like that.
comparison was to you when I first heard you was Gil Scott.
I get compared to that a lot.
Gil Scott is my first.
I get that.
That's
I
funny.
get
And
that.
a little lost poets in there.
That's funny that you say that because I have been dubbed by quite a few as the Go-Go Gil Scott. No joke.
That'd be slick.
Which is funny.
That'd be good.
People
just
people
stay
have
off the
said that.
product. You be all right.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You be all right. You know?
Yeah.
Because Gil was big. He was
Yeah.
real big in New York, too.
Yeah. Well, Gil also had a presence here in D.C.
Oh,
He
no, he
used
had
to
a
live
huge
here.
presence.
Yeah.
My father played with him. He played flute for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Brian Jackson?
There you go.
Is your father Brian Jackson?
No. My father, Curtin Hobson. But
Okay,
yeah, he
okay.
played flute, too.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, and Gil had a breakup with Brian for a while.
Right, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I saw pictures and all that type of stuff, and my father tell me about it. And,
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, so,
Yeah.
But no, I hear a lot of that in you, far as in your style of play, and your message, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably out of all of that, because when I think the music is always there for you to bring you in, you know, and it's what you're talking about. So, do you find it? Are you a fan of hip hop?
I'm a fan of hip hop. Yeah, I'm not like a huge fan. I can't quote everybody and everything, but
Right.
I'm a lover of good, solid hip hop.
So obviously you like the older style hip hop.
You already know,
Right.
Slim.
So, no, I just want to get your thoughts, you know, real quick before you have to leave. What do you think of the music nowadays, as far as the message that's being controlled by certain entities that's being put in our children's head?
It's you know, my mom always said, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
I
You
mean,
know,
well, you
but
on
I'ma
the
try
you're
to
on the
be-
wrong show
I'ma
for
try
that.
to be nice about it, man. But it's hard for me to really accept a lot of it. You know, only because a lot of is you know my own personal thing with music in general is like you have the ability to heal, or you have the ability to kill. And I see a lot of the messages that's put out in contemporary hip hop. I mean, it's all for entertainment, but there's no where's the progression? You know, where's the public enemy? Where are those messages? You know, and it's like
One.
It's almost like artists can't really write anymore because I mean, I had to ask my daughter because I go to my kids. I'm like, what is Molly? What is Percocet? What is this? Because that's what everybody's saying. Molly, Percocet, popping pills, pussy, you know, and all of that. It's like, man, either that or I'm just getting way too old where I can't really digest any of this stuff, man, because it doesn't align with my spirit, and so it's hard for me to take that stuff in, and it's hard for me to accept, you know, the youth listening to that. They're chanting this music like it's a mantra.
Yeah.
You know, and that just becomes, you know, their whole chant, their whole everything, you know. And it's real hard, man. I have to be honest with you. I can't really take a lot of it, you know. And me being a fan of music in general, I'm always listening for instruments, you know. I'm always listening for instruments, and I'm not hearing any of it. And it's like the soul done gotten taken away from it, you know. I ain't hearing no soul, you know, no substance.
Like P.E. say, who stole the
Who
soul?
stole the soul, man? And it's tough for me to get with it, to be honest with you. I can't get with a lot of it.
I feel you because I mean I do have young children also, and just like you said, being a lover of good music, period. The kids really don't listen to the lyrics. They listen to the beat. Well, I'm gonna reverse that. An older person probably will listen to the beat. I listen to the beat, and the lyrics usually have, you know, consistency, you know, liking lyricists and things of that nature, storytellers. So that's my angle on it. But the kids not listening to the lyrics first. They listening to the beat. They listening to the bass.
Right.
You know, what they call in the trap music now. They don't even listen to hip hop.
Nah, they don't listen to hip hop.
They listen to trap music.
Straight trap.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Straight trap music. So they listen to the beat first and then come the lyrics. But the thing about it is how I control my kids and how I work that up and say, hey, you know these lyrics, and I know you know this work.
Right.
Like
right.
I know you know this work. So I try to infuse, and being as though that I work with the kids at the high school level, I try to infuse music into it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to learn something, you know, I tell my daughter how she studies. Put it to a beat. You know, put it in your head, put it to a beat, how you can remember things. So it's a good thing and a bad thing because of the lyrics, but I say remove the lyrics, take the beat that you like, and, you know, infuse your learning materials.
I do the same thing. I try to meet them halfway. That's why when you listen to the first track on the album, it's a song called Dreamin'. And Dreamin' is a song about putting your mind back to Africa, you know, repatriating back to Africa in your mind, not necessarily physically, because a lot of us don't have the opportunity to go, but physically putting your mind there.
That's reconnecting with the land.
Reconnecting with the land. But that song is in a tradition. It's in a bounce beat. You know.
Well, maybe I'll get a chance to listen to that.
It's a bounce beat, but I, you know, minus the rotor times, I put a djembe there, but it's in that bounce beat, and because I wanted to meet them halfway, and Ghost of Anacostia, which is that kind of. Yeah. It's that kind of backyard R.E. work the walls kind of rhythm, but it's, you know, it's that's her song. She's like, but I gave it a rock element, but there's a message to it. So,
but that's what threw me.
Try to meet them halfway
because I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm glad you went there before you got up out of here, because I be trying to be what do you say
political.
PC. That's it. But when I think of Anacostia, the last thing I hear is, you know, so I heard that is like, come on, Sled, give me the straight bucket.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or something. You know what I mean?
A lot of people want that, but see, that's why this is Afro Go-Go Roots, because this is something else.
But you could have did that. Somebody, you know who did it like that?
Who?
And actually, it was, I believe it was called Anacostia, something Anacostia. And that's who I was telling you about, Michelle Indicello.
Okay.
She did a
we went to school together, me and Michelle.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Arlington. Yeah, that's my girl. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
That's my buddy right there.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
But who, you know, obviously was, you know, in a relationship with Funky Ned from Rare Essence.
Right. Exactly.
You know, and so when I heard it, you know what I'm saying? I know she had did a track a while ago. I believe it was called. It was Anacostia or something.
Okay.
Something like that.
I don't remember.
And,
I gotta check for that.
Yeah, and it was on buckets. The whole track was on buckets. So that always comes to my mind, because, you know, when I think Anacostia, when I think Southeast, you know, even though all the major go-go bands other than Chuck Brown came from Southeast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but for whatever reason, the first thing come to my mind is Junkyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
But the thing that I liked about the Anacostia song, when I looked at it, a lot of people talk about, we always talk about Africa when it comes to, you know, drum beats and things of that nature. But if you look at, and it's so wild, because I was my son attends Tayak. So
he's down in Piscataway.
Right.
Yeah, those are my people.
School, man.
It's an elementary school.
So the guy that's singing the chant on it, when I share not come, he's Piscataway Tayak.
Oh, okay.
His grandfather, his uncle is Chief Billy Tayak.
Okay.
Those are those people have really embraced.
Yeah, they used to come to the school. They used to come to the school as, you know, the Indians, and to, you know, I'm gonna let him elaborate. But the thing about, we always talk about African when it comes to drum beats, but we don't talk about the Indians.
Exactly.
You know, because and when I was and it's wild, because I was looking up, you know, because Chief Tayak, because my son, their motto now is the Eagle.
Right.
So I attended Tayak also. So I was just thinking to myself, like, he didn't know, and I was asking him, you know Chief Tayak is, and he's like, no, and I'm like, why don't they teach that to them now? Because when I attended, they did.
Right.
And they would come up, and the Piscataway Indians would come up and everything. And I was just researching and just telling him about it. And then he sends me the link and say, hey, I'll guest tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, nobody talks about the Indians and their drum beats and their chants and their, you know, and their religions and things about that.
I'm so glad you said that, because when we're, you know, in doing an album that is lending itself to DC and DC culture, you can't tell all of this. You can't use all of his historical reference without going to the root. Who was here first? Okay, them Native Americans east of the Anacostia River. We know them now as the Anacostia, but the original name is Nacotchtank. And those people existed over there long before we did or any of the European invasion. You know, their means of survival, the Anacostians, their means of survival was to finally get in them boats and go down the water or on land and go further and further down south, finally taking up residence with the neighboring Piscataways and the Tayaks. So same people. The Piscataway is a nation. It's a huge nation that is a makeup of, you know. So you go down there, it's like they might be your complexion,
the
his
Proctors
complexion,
and the
Proctors.
Piscataway.
Those are my people. I love it. Shout out to the Proctors. I love y'all. Shout out to Sebi, Gabrielle, all those people. But it was such a divine thing to do. I wanted to do a song about the story that happened, what happened to them. I was going to the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian, and they have on the second floor they have an exhibit there about the local band of Native Americans, the Chesapeake watershed Indians on there, Rappahannock, Tappahannock, all of those, the Conoys, the Piscataway, Tayak, all of those. And I'm doing research about that, and I became really interested in the story, and I wanted to tell that story. And there's not much you can find online about that. Not much. So I started writing the song, but I needed to complete it by reaching out to the people, because I'm not going to do something about your people without getting your blessing first. So I had already made a mental note to go to the Piscataway Museum, talk to the Proctors, and to talk to them, let them hear the lyrics so that I can get their blessing in order for me to do this song. Well, lo and behold, a mutual friend said, yeah, I met this guy, you know, his name is Sebi, he's Piscataway, blah, 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 blah. He sings, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, can I meet this dude? Right. So I met Sebi, and I told him what I was doing. He was like, yeah, you got it. Not only did he give me the blessing, but he also offered to sing on the track. And thus we started a relationship from there. And then he, you know, began taking me down to where his people are. I met his people, and they have blessed us ever since. They are like really Crank Lukongo's kind of, they're like our biggest supporters. Right. Yeah, they really, I mean, they have poured out with nothing but thanks and gratitude for us doing a song about their people and the story about their people. You know, they too share a similar philosophy that I have, even about the Washington Redskins. And I know there's a lot of Redskin fans out there because we are in the DMV, and I ain't stepping on nobody's toes or nothing like that, because I got some of my best friends are Redskin fans. But
I call them what?
Yeah, you don't. He does not call them the Redskins.
Okay, the Washington football.
Yeah,
because what the majority of the Native community is asking, just change the name, because they feel that it's derogatory. It's
derogatory. It is.
Now
like
you do
if they
have
were called the Washington niggas.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like,
exactly. You do have some that they don't care. They, you know, but the majority, the ones who are really conscious, all they're asking is for you to change the name. And so, it kind of hurts me to see some natives and even some of my folks, black folks, that I don't give a shit. Redskins.
But see,
they don't know the history.
But
they
don't. What Sis just said, and this is what I categorize them all as, and people say, "Oh, the hell with you," but when you say the Washington niggas, that's exactly the mentality that goes into that type of thinking.
Exactly.
So that's why it's so prevalent.
Exactly, and so you know, to hold a blind eye to that, even as a black man, like my integrity does not allow me to support a team first and foremost that was the last NFL team to integrate. Okay, the very last team.
I can get past that. I'm gonna tell you why I can get past that, because everything has to change.
Everything has to change.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I can get past that. That doesn't bother me as much as just the overall practices.
That's true. I can
agree. How far we are.
I can agree with that, because
them not changing the name.
because you can say that about anything.
Yeah,
you can say that about this shirt that I'm wearing.
Some gotta be the first, and some gotta be the last.
Exactly. So I can, you know, but and also the song "Hail to the Redskins." that was a song that was sung by the Confederates in the Civil War. It was a Confederate chant. So instead of, where they say at the end, fight for old DC, they're saying fight for old Dixie. Yeah. So it was a song that's sung by the Confederates that the Washington Redskins kind of recycled it and used it as their slogan and all that. But anyway.
But that's they do that with racism all the time.
Yeah,
Everything's recycled and regurgitated to you in a different shape, form, fashion, and that's where that media machine comes in at. I don't want you. I don't want you to blame me. It's 1:34. Do you have to go?
I got another 10, 15.
Okay. All right.
So, but I just wanted to say that I've often heard the Redskins organization say that they didn't want to change the name because they felt they were honoring the Redskins.
Well, if the people tell you that you're not.
Right.
Well, that's why they buying off certain members within the so-called American Indian organizations. They buy off. Snyder got that money, and so he got this one guy to come up there, stand next to him, and say all of that. And he's put, and it's a known fact, he's put money into their situation.
Right.
So
I think if you're a DC team and you want to honor Native Americans, right?
That's crazy.
So
look what my phone say.
So cut out the name Redskins and maybe call them the Washington Anacosstians or something.
I hear you
call
on that.
You can because you're still honoring, but you're also honoring the people indigenous to this area that you're serving anyway. So that's my take.
Let me tell you something, bro. Hey, Diallo, I hope you listening.
Diallo, why you give me this cat?
Hey, let me tell you something. When you dealing, you ain't going. I mean, it's all about money with that whole situation. So they ain't even really tripping off that.
No, they're not tripping.
One, the true basis buying those tickets is not what we're not their concern. Mm-hmm. Okay, because if you're not buying those suites and all that type of stuff, you're not their concern. They are selling the name,
right?
And long as the sponsors haven't said nothing about it, like FedEx, for example, FedEx, hey, if you want this check for this, for this name right here, you got to change the name, which. It's got to be something viable.
Well, yeah, I know it's a hard sell. I just wonder if that team was called the Washington Niggas, like she said, what type of reaction.
Well, I mean, we already know it's derogatory to a way to where, I mean, you see everybody's walking on eggshells right now.
Exactly.
So that's one thing. But look, we go all day about that situation right there with the name and everything. But let's talk about your product. First, how did the name come about, Crank Lukonga?
Crank Lukongo.
And we took way too long to get into this.
Okay, Crank Lukongo. So we all know what the word crank means. Crank is that word that describes the energy that's being generated between the audience and the band. It's an energy. When something is cranking, it's on a high level. All right, the energy is high. And crank, as we all know, is definitely a DC term. Lukongo is a Kikongo word that was used during a rebellion in South Carolina in 1740, I believe. Many of the slaves that was in that region didn't all speak the same language because they came from different parts of Africa. So they didn't speak the same language. Some were Igbo, some were Yoruba, some were Fulani, Mandinka, whatever. They didn't speak the same language. But one word that they shared in common was Lukongo, which means liberty. And so that word was being shared amongst all of the slaves and to prepare for insurrection. So when the insurrection finally broke out, it was because they all started chanting Lukongo, Lukongo, Lukongo. And they started burning down the plantations and chanting Lukongo, meaning liberty, freedom.
Right.
And so I felt like that was something that really and truly represents Chocolate City, native DC, especially looking at the issue that we face today with displacement. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, because that sounds a little contrary to the actual term freedom.
Right.
You know what I mean? It seems like we are regressing.
Right.
More so than moving forward.
We're regressing, but we're born again. All right. We're rising. You know, this is the dawn of a new day. So I'm not necessarily saying let's all fight to stay in the city. No.
What is in your ideal?
Mm-hmm.
What is the situation, the moment that you feel that we are born again? Because there has to be a point to where we can come to that.
Well, I think born again simply is all about knowledge of self, knowledge of who we are.
But you're talking about now. We are born again now.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you feel like is in the cycle, in the air now, that you feel like we are born again now?
Well, I think, I can't necessarily say that there's any example. I think that's something that comes from within. I think there's a...
But you're speaking for yourself then.
Well, I'm speaking for those of us that are making the choice to unify in ways of like self-sufficiency,
Mm-hmm.
And that can look like anything, but self-sufficiency, just a natural love and support for each other. A solidarity that's taking place between, for example, us and the Tayaks. You know what I'm saying? There's a new wave that's coming about that's necessary right now, and yeah, you can advocate for resiliency, but at the same time, I'm more so advocating for resiliency of our culture, of who we are. I don't know if we can fight displacement and gentrification because we see, Sursum Quarter gone down, Bury Farms gone down, and more is coming down. But what we can maintain and what we can hold on to is our culture. One of the things that make our culture what it is being able to recall certain memories. You remember the old lady that used to play her guitar and sing in front of the Woodies and Lothrop down on 11th and F. And you go 2 blocks down, you got the old blind man down there that used to tap his stick and sing. You could hear the dude 3 blocks away. That's who we are as a culture. That's what makes us who we are as a culture. And being able to retain those memories, being able to hold on to that, nobody else can relate to that. A perfect example is what you're doing right now. That's all an example of this movement that we're speaking of. And you're a part of it. You guys are a part of it.
I wanted to push hard on that because I want I want you to tell that message.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like that can kind of get lost sometimes when people they listen to a brother or to the music.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you get lost into the music. And the message that that's centered around this right here,
mm-hmm.
I feel like almost like it's Kwanzaa time. It's about unity,
mm-hmm.
coming together, community, cooperative efforts, entrepreneurship, which we speak
Absolutely.
on. All
self-sufficiency.
That's
yeah.
right,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about. This and thus we push our mantra with independent artists and entrepreneurs,
Right.
which you are. And you're a key example of, and we're going to make sure that we pronounce that here on the GoWIN radio show. We really appreciate everything that you're doing. Tell people how they can get their hands on Crank Lukonga. You want to say something, sis? No. Tell people how they can get their hands on Crank Lukonga, Born Again.
Okay, you can get the album. You can go on the website, which is www.cranklukongo, and Lukongo is spelled Lukongo, cranklukongo.com. If you go to the website, you'll be able to scroll down and you can download the music from any of those music outlets on there: iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, Google Play, all of that. I also have hard copies. I have CD, and the CD, the hard copies. I know a lot of folks don't do CDs anymore, but these things are truly collector's item because the artwork, the front cover, is an amazing piece of work that's done by my sister Izzy Roselle, and just to be able to have that is a beautiful work of art. But the CDs are available through me. I haven't put those on the website yet. They're gonna go. You'll be able to get those on the website through me. But right now, if you want to get the actual CD, you can email me at cranklucongo@gmail.com, or you can message me on our Instagram page or our Facebook page. We're on there as well. But yeah, check us out. Let us know what you think. You know, we hope you like it.
So name some of the people that you have featured on this album.
Okay. Well, on Ghost of Anacostia, I wanted to highlight my boy Junior Marvin, who's the lead guitarist for Bob Marley and the Wailers. I play in his band, Junior Marvin's Wailers. Okay. And he came and blessed us with the lead guitar solos and the vamps on Ghost of Anacostia, along with Ron Winters on guitar. I have Nala Shabam, who's the legendary, who played piano and keys for the legendary Jackie McLean. Warren Pedersen on bass, Dave Blackwell on vocals and guitar, Lazy K Keith Lofton on vocals and guitar, Andre LaSalle from Burnt Sugar up in New York on guitar, Brian Clark, my boy from Trinidad, on percussion, Mighty Mo Hagens on congas, Donald Tillery from the Soul Searchers on trumpet, Frankie Addison on sax, Kelvin Montgomery on trombone, Isla Vibes on lead vocals, Head Rock, Tom Workman, Tough Lion, Kenyatta Itola, Desi Hyson, and George Kwaku are all of the featured musicians on the album. And big shout out to my boy Diallo Rockman for, being my go-to guy.
There it is. So on the website, and you said if they want to get their hands on the physical copy, how can they get in contact with you?
You can email us at cranklucongo@gmail.com, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay.
But soon I'm working on that. Soon you'll be able to just get the CDs off the website, so that should be done. And I'm still a work in progress, y'all. So right. So yeah, give it another week or two for that. So yeah.
You didn't want to ask the question. You forgot it.
I think she likes the cover.
Oh yeah.
If you look on the back, the guy, the real fair skinned guy, that's Sebi Sebi Medina Tai.
I think she needs her own copy, bro.
And we actually took that picture. It's taken in Piscataway. Okay. We took that at Piscataway, right on the water. Okay.
I think she needs her own copy. you remember the Hey Love commercial?
Yeah.
Hey, no, my brother, you got to get your own. No, but I appreciate the fact that when I saw the video, I was like, you know what? Yeah, nobody really talks about the Indians. Like they were, here before we were forced to come here.
See, everybody's talking about those Redskins, but they don't give a damn about the Anacostians who bled and bred for the spirit of this land. Yeah. Now we got to teach them about the shoulders where we stand. Yeah. So we're walking on burial ground, and we have to honor that. Yeah.
And Chief Sayak is one of the few people that's buried. I mean, it took years for them to do it, but he was actually buried on park property.
Yeah.
Which is their property before it became
exactly.
Park property.
And one thing what you saying, brother, is we're walking on holy land, right?
We're walking on sacred land.
Sacred land. And I think a lot of people don't understand, and we take it for granted because just the way it is, the way our mentality is nowadays. If you don't do right by your ancestors, your spirit is going to be messed up for a long. I mean, you got it, and we have to really get into and like I said, and I've said it on the show several times. Like when I was in my accident. It was the first time in my life I really had a chance, in years, I mean, since I was young, I really had a chance to sit back and get in touch with myself, and really get to learn myself and understand, like, until you do that, take time to really get in tune with yourself, you'll never really embrace what's truly yours.
Right.
and what's truly yours. This is all of this is ours.
This is ours.
You know, but we are doing damage to it.
We hurting it, man. You remember that commercial years ago in the 70s where that Native American dude, Iron Eyes Cody, and he's sitting on some field and there's nothing but litter and trash and all that, and then he starts dropping a tear. He starts crying because he's hurting. His feelings is hurt because of what we doing to our own environment. Yeah. You know, and so we have to. I'm a true believer in you take care of your environment will take care of you.
That's right.
And so we have to honor this ground that we walk on. And like you listen to the song, that's exactly what this song is about. You know, we're talking about it says the big chair sits on buried cornfields. Okay. It's all about that, you know, so we have to honor that. That song has so many different metaphors to it. We're also talking about displacement with the natives in the 16th century, but you look in that same neighborhood and it's displacement going on with us in the 21st century. Same thing. So it's all the way around. So I know it's got a little rock element to it, you know, but in the spirit of my
you might have to do a remix on that joint. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, hey, EU plays rock all the time.
Speaking of EU,
with my man Tino.
Speaking of EU, a big influence on this CD is
Juju House, man. Shout out to Juju. Juju is like my big brother. You know, I mean, just that dude. Juju was actually supposed to have been the drummer on this album. But Juju's real busy, man. EU got him working. He's doing his thing, and so we couldn't really nail him in. So I attempted to just play every rhythm as if it was Juju. Not quite, but I attempted. I wanted it to have that kind of swing. Juju has a certain type of swing.
He has a rock. He was literally a rock drummer before he played go-go.
Exactly, and that's nothing to take away from any of the go-go drummers because they're all great, man. All of them, you know, Buggy, Foots. All of them, Sugarfoot, all of them are just great.
He has a different discipline,
right? And so for me, you know, just in composing these songs, I wanted it to sound like as if Juju was playing on it. So when Juju finally heard it, I went to his house, I played the album, and I cursed him out because he couldn't play on it.
This could have been us.
Yeah, you know. So you know, he was like, "Man, Swamp, man, next time let me play some spoons on that motherfucker, something, Swamp. Come on, man, let me, you know." And but he heard it and he said,
"Wow, all that blowing a Newport in your face."
He said, "Right, exactly." But he heard it and he's like, "Man, you know," he heard certain licks that I did and he said, "Man, you've been studying." I said, "Well, I ain't had no choice, man, you know." So, but Juju is more like he's my my artistic consultant, you know, because I would always go to him and, you know, and everything. And he understands sort of like the world beyond go-go, you know. So he totally gets it. He totally gets it. So he will be on the next one. If I got to kidnap him, he will be on. I know he's out racing horses right now, but
really?
Oh, yeah. He's got his own horse, man. He's got a horse called Jungle Boogie.
What?
Yeah, he's got a horse there. It just came in second place in some race he did way out in Maryland somewhere. But he's doing the thing. But I'm going to kidnap him. He's going to be on the second one.
That's what's
and
up.
Yeah, we're gonna have a completely different sound too for this next one. So
I was reading the back cover of the album, and I saw a friend Ross Lidge. So like,
Ross Lidge,
yeah,
that's my boy.
That's my homie.
That's my boy, Ross Lidge. Yeah,
yeah. You said a special thanks to him. So did he contribute to?
Ross Lidge is like a brother to me as well.
Okay.
So Ross Lidge is also, you know, he was with me in the studio when I was
the Ray Go.
Right, he does the Ray, and so I play with Lidge sometimes too. So I play drums.
Okay.
So I play drums in some bands, percussion in some bands as well. So with Lidge, I do both depending on the need. I play congos. You catch me on YouTube playing with Lidge, either drums or congos. You know, sometimes I do just background vocals. You know, with him and his wife. But I had to give Lidge and his beautiful wife Mia a shout out because they were behind me the whole. Lidge was also supposed to have been on this, but we just didn't get around to it. But I'll get him next time.
Yeah, because when I initially saw it, I was like, "This like
that's my boy."
Like, you know what I'm saying? So
that'd have been nice if you did a nice little type of reggae go-go beat. You know,
well,
something that you did.
If you listen to the first track, "Dreamin'," it has a reggae flavor to it. It was actually I actually remixed it because at first it was a reggae song by my boy Tough Lion, and I remixed it and put a bounce beat to it. So you know, I wasn't so much interested in. I wanted it to keep it as kind of authentic to the DC culture as possible. So, you know, but that's not taking anything away from, you know, my boy Lidge, but because he's DC all the way.
Right.
But I wanted it to be.
Southeast.
I want, you know, wouldn't it be nice if Jamaican people talk like us for a change? I mean, I know a lot of DC people that speak, you know, speak patois or whatever. But wouldn't it be nice if Jamaican people talk like us every day, man? I'm trying to get that junk. You know what I'm saying? Because technically, if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, Haile Selassie, who most people they know him as Rastafari, he visited DC 3 times before he even set foot in Jamaica in 1966. So I mean, you know, we kind of somewhat have a sense of entitlement to owning an aspect of that as well. You know what I mean? He came to DC under Kennedy, I think once or twice, and then under President Johnson. They had a big parade for him downtown on Pennsylvania Avenue. Huge. Look it up on YouTube. And that was before he went to Jamaica in 1966. So
before he ever stepped foot in Jamaica.
Right. And I have an uncle who was a student at Turrell Junior High School, and he remembers when Haile Selassie came to D.C. and he went to Turrell Junior High School, and people was telling all the kids, yes, we got a king from Africa that's coming in here to speak and blah, 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 blah. And he said, you know, they was all hyped because they thought they was going to see this big, gigantic, 7-foot black man, dingo, dark skin. And they walk in, you see this little tiny dude with this, like, skinny nose, you know, walk into the room. And they're like, he's no king, no African king. But, yeah, he's the king of Ethiopia, you know, at the time. So a lot of history in this thing, man. And that's what Crank Lukongo is all about, digging into that. And, you know, and so that's why I love, you know, what Ross Lidge is doing. You know, he's putting that out there and everything like that. So we, you know, we really appreciate the work that he's doing as well. Yep.
That's what's up. That's my man Lidge, and we play his music on a regular here, which we'll be doing with yours as well.
Keep it district, straight street.
Yeah.
That's my man right there.
Yeah, so. Well, we appreciate you for coming in, man. And
Thank you for having
like I
me.
said, we're definitely going to have your music in rotation here on the station.
Appreciate
because
it.
We love, you know, hey, like they said, message in my music.
Thank you, man.
So
it's kind of hard to line this up with that straight crank you got, because you playing some hard crank, man.
Yeah,
so
I mean, we tried to
I'm
mix
just a
it
little
up.
fish in a big pond, you know. It's like,
but
you know.
You know what? I mean, my thing is the platform that we have here, if we're not able to show all the variants, then we're doing a disservice to our listenership.
Right, we appreciate that.
So
Thank you.
appreciate you for tuning in, all of our listeners.
And I appreciate you for recognizing and go point blank.
Oh
period.
yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of people that from here.
But take the elements of go-go and still want that show.
Don't recognize.
I mean, how can you not? It's the
Oh.
best music on the planet.
I ask the question all the time.
Yeah, I mean, even though we're Afro go-go roots, which is,
But
you know,
it's still,
but
I
it's,
mean,
yeah,
you
it's
still like when and I read, because I always read everybody's bio, and I read, you know, everything they give us, I read, and I really don't dissect it. I just look for the one thing. I mean, you're on WIN DC, you're on GoGo Radio, and you play the music, but you don't recognize it in your literature, and it's so unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's so unfortunate, and
Well,
you wouldn't even realize how many people do it. Like let's just say out of 10 people, 9.
Well, they got to
recognize it.
They got to get on the board. They got to get born again, and by born again, I don't mean like
Right,
born again,
right,
born
right,
again.
in the
Nah,
water, right?
nah, I just this is an elevated movement. So, you know.
And I appreciate, because it says, you know, although the album encompasses an assortment of musical styles and genres such as reggae, jazz, and metal, the DC go-go pulse still resonates throughout each and every song.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, and I gotta give a shout out to my man Cato Hammond. How could I not? Cato Hammond wrote that. He wrote the forward on there. You know, so I gotta give a shout out to Cato. Yeah, big up to Cato.
We appreciate it. Any last shout outs before we get up out of here?
One love to everybody, man. And I need everybody to please continue to check out and listen to WIN DC Radio. They doing the thing up here, and they're one of the few people on this platform that had us up here. I mean, we had a lot of people that turned a blind eye, but these people are the real deal. They got us up here, and you know, and we really appreciate that.
Don't forget about GoGo Radio Live too.
GoGo Radio Live, yes, indeed, yes indeed.
Yeah, which we were streaming on both.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna let you close out, sis. I want to shout out my main man Diallo.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you for the hookup with this brother right here, because I remember Diallo. He came into my house. Matter of fact, was it snow on the ground? I think it was snow on the ground. He came over and brought me this DVD and a CD, and he told me about this brother right here. So he really want me to meet you and bring you up to the station and whatnot. So Diallo never brought you, but he made the connection, and that's what mattered. And I really appreciate that brother right there and all his hard work that he does within the go-go community.
He's been that way. He's been that way for 30-something years, believe it or not.
I can believe
this guy has had every single cassette tape known to man ever put out in go-go. So what he's doing today is the same thing that he's always been doing. He is a true lover of go-go music and go-go culture. And can't nobody better do what he does. I mean, he's doing the thing, and he's going around and he's documenting stories from different artists and things like that. And you know, hopefully we can see him on a larger platform, but he does it for the love, man.
Yeah.
He does it for the love, you know. And so, yeah, big ups to that brother right there.
No doubt.
And tell us one more time how they can get the CD, because there's people on the live wanting to get a copy of the CD.
Oh, thank you, people live. Thank you. So, yeah, you can go to www.cranklukongo.com. Lukongo is Lukongo. Lukongo, Lukongo, cranklukongo.com. You can go in there and get the downloads, or if you want hard copies, just email us at cranklukongo@gmail.com. And yeah, just send us your email anyway. We'll let you know when the live performance is coming up. We're doing an album release party on November the 3rd.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, venue 2.
Day after your birthday, you doing a birthday joint,
Yes,
huh?
so it's my 50th birthday combined with the album release party.
Oh, yeah? You got the venue already?
TBA, to be announced. I'll definitely get y'all wind of that.
We
for all you Scorpios, come on out and celebrate Scorpio season with us too. It's going to be a really good one.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of Scorpios and go-go.
Yeah,
I think between Scorpios and Leos.
I think we figured that out. Yeah.
So we're looking to have Juju on drums for that one, and Mo on congas on that one.
That'd be hot.
So yeah,
we might have to hit that.
Yeah, so it'll be a daytime earlier event. So if these guys have gigs that night, they can still get in, get out.
We get Day Day to come up in and do some patois.
Yeah,
He does that real good.
Yeah.
So
right,
thanks again to you coming through, man, and blessing us with this message.
Thank you. Peace and love.
We appreciate it.
Sis?
Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to Swamp Guinea for bringing, opening my eyes to bring, the indigenous people, our indigenous people to the light, and just the realization of that, they're also, musical geniuses, when they had, thank you. I appreciate you. Hey,
love.
I got my own. Hey, love. And the video just made me think about, how the Indian people sat around and, did the same things that the African people did also with the drums and the skin and creating instruments, and when they had nothing, just probably way before we did, so.
Let me tell you something, and from what I understand, my history that I learned is it was the the Native American. I don't even want to. They don't even like being called that. Matter of fact, I do know that.
Some do.
But
Native
the Native American,
Indian, but more indigenous.
Indigenous. There we go. The indigenous people of this land.
Right.
You know, they the ones that actually looked out for the Negroes when we was freed.
Yeah.
Or the so-called Negro.
Yeah.
When we was free, when they was moving out west, they helped a lot of Africans that was going out that way. They helped them, you know, and develop the lands and whatnot. So
absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of stories. It's a lot of stories, a lot of conflicting stories. But yeah, there were a lot of help and assistance that we did get from the natives and you know, my family is Catawba. My great-great-grandmother, Josephine McCaw, was full-blood Catawba down in South Carolina. And she married my great-great-grandfather, who was a mulatto, son of a slave. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, even if that wasn't, because I know a lot of us claim, I got Indian in me, you know. Right. Whether it was or wasn't.
I got Indian in my blood.
Right, exactly. Whether it was or wasn't, you know, I think, you know, I just feel a strong, you know, affinity for those people and their plight and, you know, and just their whole story. So.
Yeah, because they talk about how we was dog, but jeez,
yeah.
If you really think about it,
that's what I'm saying. Like they were here and
they got they. I mean, as
that's like somebody coming to your house.
Rug pulled up.
Yeah, that's like somebody coming to your house. You know what I'm saying, and then bringing a guest.
Yeah.
Like you know,
going in your refrigerator and eating up all your food,
bringing people,
putting their feet up on your table.
Yeah, they came and then they
telling you go get me a beer.
Yeah. That's what the song "Goes of Anacostia" is about. It's telling that story. You know, it's telling that whole story. So I got to get out of here, y'all.
Yeah.
Kip is on the main line. He said hello. He said Kip.
Kip.
Yeah.
What's up, Kip?
Yeah, he said, you know, Boosie.
Boosie?
Yeah, he was
who, Boosie Vegas?
No, he said.
I got an aunt named Boosie.
Yeah.
Aunt Boo, what's up, Aunt Boosie? I'm going to call you Aunt Boosie.
I'll be over for Sunday dinner. Leave me a plate. Right. You know, so, but we appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. This Thursday, we have my main man, Malik the Freak. He'll be in here getting ready to celebrate his birthday that he got coming up. I believe it's, I'm not sure how old he is, but he'll let us know. He'll be in studio right here to talk to us about everything he's done within radio. I think he's got 30 years in radio, something like that. Something like 20 years in radio, I believe. So we appreciate that. Hey, we got to take some pictures, man. So we can get ready to get up out of here. Y'all keep it locked. Tune in this Thursday. Oh, tonight, make sure you tune in to Mike's Corner. And from 6 to 8 and from 8 to 10, make sure you tune in to Foreplay the Orgasm. Thank y'all for listening to the GoWIN Radio Show right here on GoGo Radio Live, Win DC Radio, all wrapped up in GoWIN.media. And don't forget about the Iverson Concert Series. This Saturday, we have Subtle.
Oh, I just got confirmation.
Just for her.
I ain't seen her.
Your mic is open.
We got confirmation. The album release party, November 3rd, at a brand new hotel called the Eaton Workshop, EATON. The Eaton Hotel. It's 12th and K. This hotel is incredible. It is
on the northeast side,
northwest, 12th and K.
Okay.
It is a hotel that's centered on social activism. It's like an anti-Trump kind of establishment.
Oh, we definitely got to hit that joint. What was that? Is that a Saturday?
Sebi just texted me.
What day is the 3rd on?
Saturday.
That's Saturday. Okay. All right, come right in on the groove too. Right there. We see y'all Thursday.
Hey, Nico. I saw you, so I felt the urge. You know I can't do nothing without this one right here, though. Special dedication going out to GoGoRadio.com. The GoGo Ologist. Yeah. out your afro, put on your high heel shoes, put on your fancy clothes, you're headed to the go-go. Forget about your 9 to 5, leave all that stress behind, 'cause baby it's Saturday night, you're headed to the go-go. 5 whole days has passed, it's Saturday at last. Call my crew, just a few, and they know exactly what to do. Sister, the night is young, I'm a party till I see the sun. Dance all night, mesmerized by the music. Pick out your afro, put on your high heel shoes, put on your fancy clothes, headed to the go-go. Forget about your 9 to 5, leave all that stress behind. It's Saturday night, headed to the go-go. My girls are at the party, they're sipping on Bacardi. The lines are long, they always on the side. Most of them have boyfriends, thinking that they're single. To enjoy myself is the reason why I come. Come on, y'all, pick out your afro, put on your high heel shoes, put on your fancy clothes, you're headed to the go-go. Forget about your 9 to 5, leave all that stress behind. 'Cause baby, it's Saturday night, we're headed to the go-go. Ooh, that's my song. My body's moving to the dance floor, partying on the sound, partying like we've never done before. It's plain to see. My body's moving to the beat and it's killing me. There's no place I'd rather be. Pick out your afro, put on your high heel shoes, put on your fancy clothes, and head to the go-go. Forget about your 9 to 5, leave all that stress behind. 'Cause baby it's Saturday night, we're headed to the go-go. Yeah. What's up, E? We're headed to the go-go. Yeah.
Big city of dreams, y'all.